During announcements, I made reference to that fifth Sunday activity that we did together. Well, there was also another group of missionaries we focused on, and that was the Tang family. And so some of you know them somewhat already through that activity, but they've been home for a few weeks from Thailand, and will be heading back to Thailand in a few more weeks. And so they were able to fit it into their schedule to come share with us a little bit this morning. So this morning we'll have Rob and Denise and Stephanie and Corianne sharing with us in a moment. But, you know, part of the challenge, I think, in supporting missionaries at times is sort of that notion of what I talked about back in March, out of sight, out of mind. And the Tangs have been really good and faithful in terms of keeping us updated, to sort of let us know what's been happening with them, some of the challenges that they're facing. And so this morning you'll be able to hear directly from them. And what I would like you to do now is just make them feel very welcome as they come up.
We are so excited to finally meet you. You know, it was about a year ago, Rob and I received an email in Thailand from a Pastor Morgan, Tom Morgan, from a church called Xaris. And he was asking, you know, we'd like to, you know, start supporting you. And we're thinking, wow, you know, every summer we have to come home, and that's our least favorite thing to do. We love visiting churches, but it's so hard to ask, you know, can you guys support us? You know, we need support. And here we have this person we don't even know, a church we have never heard of. How do you even say that name, your church name, saying, you know, we'd like to support you. And we're like, yes, we would love that. We need that. And so for us to be here and to speak to you and to see you face to face is a real joy. You know, it's been encouragement for us throughout this past year to know that we are being prayed for, we're receiving support from you, and then to receive all these cards from you was such a blessing, because they weren't just saying, you know, we're praying for you. They were so personal, you know, and we could tell by what you wrote that you saw our bios and that you knew, you know, what we were doing. And so thank you, thank you. You know, we want to start our time with a short video. Our kids a year ago put this video together called Misconceptions, because although we've been in Thailand for 6 years, we come home and we share about Zoe, we tell everybody what we're doing. You know, we'll come home and they'll sometimes say, you know, things that make us think, wow, they really don't know what our life is like in Thailand. Maybe they think we live in a hut all the time. And so we put this video together to help you understand a little bit about our life in Thailand.
Poor Lauren. Now you know a little bit more about our family. I'll introduce them real quick. Lauren, actually, our daughter, she was with us in Thailand. I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. We have been in Thailand now for about 6 years. We just finished our 6th year with Zoe International Ministries, and we'll talk about Zoe in a little bit. But our kids came out with us, and Lauren has since graduated high school in an international school there, and is now in her 3rd year. She just finished her 3rd year. She's going to be a senior at Biola University here. So that Skype, I mean, it's so true. I mean, Lauren calls us 4, 5, 6 times a week, possibly, on Skype. So we see her all the time. And so, unfortunately, that reality is kind of true, how we treat her. Kelly, on the other hand, Kelly was with us for 5 years, and he just graduated last year, and he's out at Wheaton College in Chicago. And so he does not Skype us. And I'm not sure if it's the cold and the internet doesn't work that well, but we never. And actually, last night when we were at the hotel, Lauren gave us a call and, oh, how did things go? How was everything? And told us about her day. And I don't think my son even knows we're up here this weekend. So that's Lauren and Kelly. Kelly's going to be a sophomore at Wheaton. Stephanie, you'll meet in just a bit. She's going to be a senior at Grace International School in Thailand. And Stephanie is going to be a sophomore. Oh, I'm sorry, Corianne. Is that your name? I get them mixed up sometimes. So they're going to share a little bit with you as well about what God is doing in their lives as well. This is not just mom and dad going to Thailand, dragging the kids along, but God has really done some incredible things in ministry, in just, you know, world perspective of what's going on, and we're so excited what God is doing in their lives. I want to share a little bit about Zoe as we get into this. Whether you know or not, Zoe International has been around for about 11 years. We came out 6 years ago and joined this team, and really the two main focuses, the main missions of Zoe, is to spread the good news of Jesus Christ to anybody and everybody, especially in that region, in Thailand and in Southeast Asia, as well as rescuing kids is our second part. And Zoe, as Xaris's name in Greek means grace. Zoe means life. It comes from John 10:10. I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And so Zoe really, we're trying to bring the life of Christ to the nation of Thailand, to the people there, especially to those children there that have been abused and used in ways that they never should. I currently work with the child rescue team at Zoe and have been doing that for a few years. And you know what? Let me show a quick little clip of what kind of the child rescue aspect. Thank you, Larry. As I said before, the missions of Zoe is reaching the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ and rescuing kids. And Zoe right now, we have about around 60 Thai and Burmese staff that work there at Zoe. They're full-time staff. We have about 24 missionaries and about 22 missionary kids. We also have a Bible school that Thai kids come to learn Bible, learn ministry, business skills, language, and we have about 30 Bible school students there at Zoe. And we also, and our children, our rescued kids, we have about 64 kids right now. So it's a big family, and but we absolutely love what we're doing out there, and have been able to see God do some incredible things in us and through us. Stories of transformation of children's lives, and actually of our lives as we're out there being used by God. As far as child rescue goes, you saw that child rescue is involved in prevention type work, awareness training, as well as intervention work, trying to rescue those kids that are already trafficked in brothels, in the sex trade, in forced labor. That is our heart, that is our goal. And then the third component of our child rescue is our aftercare. So I'm involved in the intervention and prevention. My wife Denise is going to share a little bit about the aftercare. And really, people think of intervention and prevention as kind of the tough thing going into places, but really the aftercare, I think those house parents and the staff that work with our kids, once they come to Zoe, those are the real heroes of the organization. And God has done some incredible things, and Denise is going to share a little bit about that. Right now, I want to share just a little bit about what's going on in Thailand. You may have heard a few weeks ago, actually about a month and a half ago, the military staged a coup d'etat, a coup there in the country of Thailand. They took over and are now running the government there. And as of right now, we were there for several weeks after it happened, and we felt that God is sovereign, God is protecting us, but we do feel very safe there. It has been almost business as usual. But still continue to pray for Thailand, pray for the people of Thailand and the government that make it through. There's uncertainties on what's going to happen in the future, but as of right now, things are pretty stable. Martial law is in effect, but we don't have curfew anymore. So please pray for Thailand and for freedom there. The other thing that Zoe's been in the news lately, especially regarding to child rescue, every year the U.S. State Department puts out a report called the TIP report, the Trafficking in Persons report. And Thailand has always been kind of hanging out towards the bottom of this. It's a ranking system that they rank countries around the world on how the countries are doing in the fight against trafficking. The report just came out the day we arrived here in L.A., and Thailand was dropped down to the lowest tier, tier 3. And it was kind of a little bit of a shock to us because we've been working so hard and being boots on the ground. We see the successes of what's going on, but in the eyes of the U.S. State Department, Thailand is not doing enough. There's been a lot of news about the fishing industry there and the forced labor of the shrimp boats and everything, but also the sex trafficking that's going on and amongst children too. So with that, at Tier 3, Thailand is now in line with Iran and Syria and North Korea. I mean, countries that have just terrible human rights records. And so we don't lose heart there, though. We continue to know that God has called us there to do a work. And we know that there's a lot more work to be done. But we have seen time and time again how God is using Zoe, using our efforts and efforts combining with others there in the region to make an impact in fighting trafficking, especially child trafficking. So we, I don't have time now to go into stories, but we have story after story of what God is doing. And again, the transforming of lives, especially children who've come with incredible amounts of baggage that we've seen just new life and new hope. And that's what we put our trust in. So I'd love to share more afterwards during our fellowship time if you want to hear stories. But I want to call Denise up right now, and she's going to share a little bit about aftercare.
So I have always, before going to Thailand, just loved being a mom of my kids. I just love learning and reading books about, parenting and all that. And I also work with youth ministries, and that was my passion. And so how exciting for me coming to Zoe and getting to do what I'm passionate about. So those are my two main ministries at Zoe. One is I work with the child care staff, and these are the moms and dads of the kids God brings through our doors at Zoe. And I get to do parenting training, just support and encouraging them in just the huge task they have. And my second ministry there at Zoe is working with the youth. Of the 64 kids, about 40 are youth aged. And so it's just been a joy for me to do that. And so I'm going to share a story that kind of combines both parenting and the youth. And I'm going to tell you a story about a boy named Joe. Joe came to Zoe about 2 years ago. And I remember when he came, he didn't first come to our Zoe house. He came to our safe house. And the authorities, he was rescued from sex trafficking. He was a teenager, probably 12 at the time, angry, just angry at the world, kicking and screaming. And the authorities said, could you just keep him at Zoe for just tonight at least, because we want to gather a testimony from him tomorrow. And we're like, well, we're not a lockdown facility. That's not what we do. They go, please, can you just tonight we want to see what your God can do. And that's what their words were. And we're like, okay. And so here we have Joe coming in the doors. Rob, other missionaries, our Thai staff are trying to bring him and actually another boy into our safe house. And he's kicking, he's screaming, he's spitting. For all we know, who is Zoe to him? We could be anybody, someone that can hurt him as well. He doesn't trust us, he doesn't know us. And so they finally get him in the safe house. We were excited because he did not run away. The authorities, when we were saying we're not lockdown facility, they thought, you know what, we already know he might run away. We're kind of know he will. We have plan B in place because he probably will. But he did not run away. We were able to keep him with us. We had a bunch of people watching him, and he did get to share, to testify. And it's amazing how in this last 2 years, what God has done. He came kicking and screaming, and little by little, how God just transformed his life. He was at the safe house for a little while, and it was just beautiful to see how our Zoe kids that lived at Zoe, were able to go and minister to him because they thought, what, we know what he's been through. Maybe the Thai staff, maybe you missionaries, you don't know, but we know. And so they would go to the safe house, and they just loved and cared. And next this boy Joe was at our children's home. And about a year ago with our youth, we went on a huge outreach where I had the kids share the gospel to kids that don't know him. And here, I remember that day, I was sitting in the crowd, and we had our probably 30 at the time, teenagers up in front. They were singing a song in Karen, a hill tribe village, and for many of them, it was not their first language. And Joe was in the front with his hands behind his back, singing about the love of Jesus in a language that wasn't his first language, with joy in his heart, as if he has been doing this his entire life. And I was in the congregation, ready to be in tears, thinking, I remember when he first walked through our doors, when he was kicking and screaming, angry at the world, and here he is a year later, sharing about the love of Jesus. And now, 2 years later, he is just thriving. He was on my not youth core group, he was on my character team. I teach character at Zoe, and he's on my team that helps go in front of our huge 150 people Zoe family, sharing about godly character, and that's how we need to be. And that's just one of 100 stories that I have at Zoe of what God is doing in changing lives. For me, as Rob and I became parents and had our 4 kids, there's nothing more that we wanted is for our kids to grow up, accept Jesus into their heart, and serve Him. And that's the same heart of our child care staff. That's what they want. That every child that comes through our doors, they love them like it's their own, and they pray with them all the time. They read scripture, have them memorize verses when they need to be disciplined. It's always biblical, kind of counseling discipline. They just are incredible. And that's their heart. It was the same heart as mine. And, over the last 5 years of being in Zoe, it always happened. Every child that walked through the doors became a Christian. They would come up and share their testimony. It was amazing. But this past year, I think we're finally realizing that, no matter what we do as parents, some kids are going to say no. No matter how much we pour into their lives, they might either choose to follow Him and stray away, or they just might not say yes. And I think that was a hard awakening for some of us, because we always had success stories. But I think our theme this morning is just in uncertainty, in not knowing what the future holds. If the kids will become Christians and follow Him, that we will do what God is calling us, and that's what our child care staff does. They will continue to pour into these kids' lives. They will continue to love them unconditionally. And even though we don't know what tomorrow will hold, what they will choose, or what their future will be like, we know we are being obedient to what God is calling us today, because God is faithful. We have seen so many changed lives. We, like I said, had a lot of stories about Zoe, but God has done a lot of great things in our own families' lives. And so we're going to have Stephanie and Koyan come up and share in the same theme of uncertainty, but seeing how God is faithful. And these aren't Zoe stories, but these are personal stories of what they've gone through. And the reason why they're sharing about their own lives, Zoe moved an hour away from where we live about 4 years ago. So Stephanie and Koyan can't go to Zoe all the time like they used to. And so it's neat how God has provided a ministry for them, that our being in Thailand is just not Rob and I serving. It's our whole family. And so I'm going to have Stephanie come up.
So what should I do about agape? So, you see, for the past 2 years, I've been participating in Agape Home, which is a children's home with kids that have HIV. And this children's home houses these kids who maybe their parents had HIV and died, or they have HIV, so they're abandoned or just left alone. And so this home comes and takes care of these children, provides education, a home, a loving family. And so I've participated in this ministry that Grace offered for 2 years now. And what we do is we go to this children's home and we get paired up with a buddy. So I've had the same buddy for 2 years now, and her name is Molly, and she's 9 years old now, and she's just a big free spirit person. And what we do there is we don't have a set program or anything while we go there. We just drive 45 minutes to get there and then hang with them about an hour, I'd say, and just have fun with them. Do whatever you want, For the first year I did it, Molly was young and really outgoing, and I was like, oh, this is nice. I love sports and stuff, and we play tag the whole time, literally the whole hour. And if you've been to Thailand, you know that it's hot and humid, which is a really bad combination. So we're running around the whole time, sweating, but, that was okay because we had a really fun time. And so that was my first year. And then I did it again this second year, and my expectations were really high because I was thinking initially, we developed this friendship this past year, and now this next year is going to be like amazing. You know, we're going to get really close, and it's going to be a great year. But it wasn't exactly like I expected. She grew up to a young lady. She no longer wanted to run around or get all sweaty like that. So we're like, okay, we don't have to run around. We can do whatever you want. So I'd like follow her around, see what she wanted to do. With the little tie I knew, try to communicate with her. But yeah, it wasn't like I expected. She liked hanging with her friends, and I understood that. And so I just follow her kind of wherever she went. But it was hard because it wasn't exactly what I was expecting out of that year. And so another hard thing about that was I do sports, and with school, we go to Agape Home every Friday. So it is a commitment to go, and with sports we go 30 minutes later than the rest of the Grace kids, and so that just means 30 minutes less time with my buddy. And if we calculate the numbers together, it's 45 minutes there and back, which is an hour and 30 minutes, and I'd only be at Agape Home for 30 minutes. So that was really hard for me, thinking, oh, I'm just going there, spending so much time getting there, 30 minutes there, just following her around and not really investing in her life as I wanted to. I really wanted to, you know, invest in her life and just show her that I cared, but it was really hard for me to see that. And so again, it's been hard. This happened throughout the whole year, and yeah, I was really weighing the pros and cons. Should I do this next year? You know, next year is going to be my senior year. I'm going to do sports again. Academics will be harder. I'll have just so much going on. So I didn't know if this is what God was really calling me to do. Like, was this right? Like, I was going here and trying to help, but didn't know if I was getting back that. And so it was hard. That was a decision I had to make. But at the end of the year, we always have a big, fun Agape pool party. And instead of us going there, they came to our school, Grace, and we have a really big pool. So all we did was just swim the whole time, and it was really fun. I really had an amazing time, and I was like, should I do this next year? I had so much fun today. Like, it can be a blast next year, but still having in the back of my head, should I do this or not? And so after the party, we kind of stayed back and cleaned up, and I was talking to the leader of Agape Home that's in charge of us Grace kids, and we were just talking casually, and then it somehow came up that I didn't know, I mentioned to her, I don't know if I'm going to do it next year, and I kind of explained to her the same thing I'm explaining to you guys now, just my situation, and she really understood, and she told me that, you know, a lot of Grace kids go through this, you know, sometimes the kids don't know how to express how much it means to them that you're there, and she said, you guys coming means the world to them. They get so excited seeing you guys come, you know, they don't know how, sometimes they just don't know how to express it, but it means the world to them to know that someone cares for them, that someone wants to go and just hang with them, whatever it is. Because, I mean, like I said, these kids come from terrible situations, you know, they may not have a family, and to know that someone is there to care for them, you know, that was huge for them. And so that hit me so hard. I was like, wow, how much more selfish can I be? I was really thinking, it was like, about me, what I was thinking about, like, I was investing in her, but I didn't feel like I was getting that back, and I was like, what am I thinking? It's not about me. The ministry is to serve others, and it wasn't about what I was getting out of it. It didn't matter if, you know, my expectations were kind of let down, but, you know, that wasn't it. It was about being obedient to God and answering His call and ministering to this girl no matter what. And so, like, even though I'm uncertain what will happen next year, I'm going to do it next year. Yeah, sorry. I'm not certain what's going to happen next year. I don't know if it's going to be the same kind of, like, just following her around, or if we're, like, you know, tight, like, really good friends. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that I'm going to be obedient to God calling me there, and just invest in this girl's life no matter the circumstance, and show that agape love to this girl like Jesus shows that agape love to us. So thank you.
You know, we want to be sensitive to your time, and so Corianne is not going to share, but it's a basketball story. It's a great story, so everybody go up to her afterwards, okay? You know, we just wanted to, our theme was uncertainty, but God's faithfulness. And in all our uncertainties about many things at So, and we've had many over the 6 years, it's been incredible to see how God is faithful. What was our uncertainties before about tomorrow? We were able to see how, what God did and His faithfulness. And what I did was I made a little chart, a little scroll, and it literally took me only 30 minutes. So I wrote, God is faithful, and then I just started writing down the ways I saw God answer our prayers. It was finances. Would we be able to get on the field? Will we have enough money? Bills, education. I can go on about different kids at Zoe, on and on and on and on. And I just started writing. These were my uncertainties, some of them over the 6 years. And I was able to write down and see, wow, what God had done. And I was able, and it just encouraged me. If you go through something, I encourage you to get a paper yourself and start writing, and you'd be amazed to see, wow, what God has done. And it encourages me. I know each of you have, I'm sure, uncertainties in your life where you wonder what God is going to do tomorrow. But we could bank that God is God, and that alone should be enough for us to be obedient and take those steps. But also, we have seen, looking back, that God has been faithful and has shown Himself to us time and time again. We're going to end with another video, and this is just a fun video. It shows us walking off the plane, a video where we're being greeted by our Zoe family. We left LAX. I was crying, leaving my mom and dad and my brothers and family, and then being welcomed in the arms of our Zoe family. And I hope just seeing it shows you how God has been faithful to each one of us in our family the past 6 years.
Would you please pray with us? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we give you praise and thanks for just a privilege to be here today to testify your goodness and your faithfulness to us. I thank you how you have how you are covering Xaris Church and how you're using them to spread the light of Jesus here in Elk Grove and Sacramento and California and around this whole region. I pray you continue to lift them up and bless them. Father, thank you so much for their partnership with us. Thank you so much for all that you're doing in this congregation and in their lives. And I pray, Father, that as uncertainty comes before each one of us, whether we're here, whether we're there, I pray that we could just rest on knowing that you are in control, and that your faithfulness will always bring us through. We give you praise for who you are in our lives. We give you praise for just the blessing of knowing you. Thank you so much, Father. We give you all this in Jesus' name. Amen.